Live on Dominion Television, your channel of choice. Samson Balogun is my name.
And I'm Zoms Okechukwu. Good morning. Good morning, Samson.
Good morning to you, Zoms.
Thank God it's Friday.
TGIF.
All right, today we're going to be starting the talks on health. You know, yesterday we talked majorly on health, but today we're going to be talking about a public health problem, which is open defecation. Open defecation has turned to a menace in Oyo State, Nigeria, and the world at large. You know, and from the WHO report as of 2019, it said that some children had died about 1.4 million people had died as a result of diarrhea, all these diseases and hepatitis.
Communicable diseases.
Right, as a result of the that's the water, sanitation, and hygiene report. You know, when we talk about wash, it's about washing your hands, you know, water, sanitation, and hygiene. Most persons do not actually understand the essence or the need of keeping sanitation and hygiene. But we're not going to be talking majorly about the world today. We're going to be talking about Nigeria and also narrowing it down strictly to
Oyo State. All right, it's a major topic that can no longer be ignored in Nigeria and, of course, Oyo State. You talk about a practice of relieving oneself in open spaces. Could be fields, it could be bushes, waterways, and uncompleted buildings. You know, these are, you know, specific areas where people do their thing, you know, without considering the health hazards it's going to cause on the people living within that particular environment. You see people, you know, doing open defecation, you know, even on waterways, and this has a lot of ripple effect, you know, on the people, talking about the health hazards it brings to the people. And then we cannot stress that without talking about what it is going to take, and of course how the state can actually curb this menace that has ravaged our communities in recent times. It's a major issue. It's a basic one. And then recently we've been, you know, hearing the state government talking about how the state government is going to take care of, you know, open defecation in the state, how they are going to eradicate it, you know, from the formation of a committee who are going to look into this particular issue. It's a major problem. But then, how do we get above and beyond open defecation in Oyo State? One of that is to, you know, form a committee that is going to look into this. And another one is that there are so many ways, but then you have to take a look at a total ban on, you know, having an event where there is no space for where people can have their defecations done. You know, if you have an event, there are mobile, you know,
mobile toilets,
where you can actually place very close to your event, and when anyone is pressed or anyone has a reason to empty their balls, they have a place to go. You can't just have an event without providing all this. This should be basic and necessary for anyone that is having a major event, even a minor event in the state.
You know, from the reports we got from the WASHNUM, that's the Water, Sanitation, Hygiene, National Survey Report, routine mapping, the report said about 47 million Nigerians actually engage in this open defecation. And then in 2018, the president, as at that time, president of Nigeria, launched this Clean Nigeria campaign.
Initiative.
Yes, for us to actually have a better and safe waterways. You know, what people do not understand is that when you defecate in the open, when it rains, it washes it into different places. And people tend to go into these places. Okay, well, let's talk about our water. Now, when it washes it into the rivers and the streams and some of these places that people go to, you know, some persons still go to the stream to get water
from the stream.
And wells and all the rest. So it is really necessary that this campaign is continued. And we cannot overemphasize it, because as of last year, November, the Vice President Kashim Shettima actually relaunched this Clean Nigeria campaign. That's showing us that we are actually not there yet, because as of 2018 we're looking at 2025 to actually curb or stop this open defecation. We're hoping to be free from open defecation, but right now the campaign is moving towards 2030. And it's a good thing that Oyo State actually with they're keen into it, and they're looking at 2028.
Well, I think Nigeria as a country is lagging behind in some areas, which this is actually part of. We want to believe that there are still areas in some places in Nigeria generally where there are houses but there are no restrooms in those houses. Oyo State, to be precise, there are places too where there are houses and there are no restrooms. This I've always talked and advocated for urbanization and reurbanization in a state like Oyo State, to be precise. You know, there are some places where, you know, there has to be public infrastructures, just like restrooms built in some areas. And then there are some places, existing areas, where, you know, people are there, they are living there actively, but then when you check, you realize, you begin to ask yourself questions. Do these houses have places where they do their, you know, there's a popular saying in some areas, they will say they do short put. Meaning that they just find a way to, you know, to put it.
Also talking about commuters, you know, sometimes when you're having a road trip and you're pressed, you just park. You just park by the roadside, and you know, you have to just go down and do whatever you want to do. It brings us down to the fact that as Nigerians, we should also be intentional about what we want, because if we're intentional, we can actually speak up. I mean, campaigns have been out there and all the rest. Also, our leaders should be able to provide, you know, in the markets. Have you ever been to the toilet? This toilet in the markets, like, it's crazy. You don't want to even step in because the environment is something else.
We should be able to enough to be used.
We should be able to have cleaners everywhere in the market, not just in
I've seen markets where
houses.
If you want to use their public restroom, you have to pay.
You have to pay. At least
it's not even a big deal if you pay for restrooms in public places, but the fact that if you pay, it has to be clean. It has
to be something you can actually walk into, not something you'd close your nose, like people would say. Commuters walking around the road, they say, not commuters now, not pedestrians, they're saying that you can't even walk freely on Ibadan Road. I mean, here in Ibadan, there was a report, someone, forgetting his name, talked about yesterday, that saying that getting into the city, you can't even cross the major roads. You find in between the roads, the medians,
and then someone already parked their waste and
there.
Put it there.
It's a whole lot. I mean, you can't walk freely. You have to just hold your nose or seize your breath, you know, just to pass that area. We really need to do a lot. This campaign should not be just a minor thing. It should not be small.
I also feel there should be enforcement of sanitation regulations. If there are none, I think they should be created and enacted. You know, there has to be regulations as regards this. There has to be penalties for whoever, you know, violates any of these regulations. I could remember at a point in Lagos, if you are arrested for, you know, open defecation, there is a certain fine you pay, or you get shipped off to their office, and then probably until you pay your fine, you will be there with them. This is also one thing we should be looking at in the States. I think when, you know, when there's an offense, there has to be, you know, a penalty. If people are not penalized for offenses committed, they tend to repeat it over and over again. And then we cannot afford to, you know, aid them in doing that. The government has to take a proactive action to make sure this is put to an end.
When you're talking about penalties and fines, we're actually talking majorly about the urban areas. How about the rural areas where these people live and go to the farms and the bushes, and they're used to that lifestyle? Now it's about educating. I feel like education should come first, especially with those people living in the rural areas. Our government, our leaders should be able to this Clean Nigeria,
expansion of sanitation programs
that is
to rural
actually
areas.
Running right now. They should be able to get more hands to go into rural areas, not just the urban areas, because some of these people living in the rural areas do not actually listen to the radio, they don't watch the television, they don't pick up newspapers, so they might not really see all of these things you're saying.
That's the job of the orientation agencies. We have national orientation agencies.
Sometimes it feels like they're not
even
existing.
Spreading information is a good thing. I still feel like in some areas we still use this old way of passing information, which is the use of town announcers now. We used to call them town criers. So I think they still do that in some parts. I've heard of that, and I've seen that in in some part of this state, and then there's this the vehicle where they put a public address system on the vehicle, and then they go about the streets and then announce that, okay, so thing is happening on so day. I think if we cannot get through to some people through the conventional means of communication now, which is TV, radio, even social media can be adopted for the you know, some generations. But then going to areas, rural areas, deep rural areas, as you have rightly said, I think we can adopt that by, you know, using the town announcers who can actually pass information across.
Yeah, gather these people.
And then that has a lot to do with the royal fathers in those areas too. They know how to pass information across
chiefs,
to their people.
Others,
the high chiefs. The chiefs can also do that. And while doing that, the government also have to make some provisions.
Of course.
You know, you can't just say someone should stop what
doing
he or she
and
is
you're
used
not
to
giving the
without
person
the
an
proper
alternative
provision. And
measure.
then, after, when you have provided, you have to teach them how to use them.
It.
Because it is quite important when you provide a facility I don't know how to use, it's probably, I'm going to end up destroying that facility.
It, and it's just going to
someone
be a
has
waste.
to take them through the process and tell them, look, this is how you do it, this is how you flush, this is how you do that, and then this is how you clean, and these are the materials you use in cleaning. So for you to be, you know, to be safe, for hygiene to reign in that particular community, these are the things you need to do. And I think the washing of hands after the usage of, you know, public restroom also has to be, you know.
Yes, it should be emphasized. I mean, during the COVID-19 era, we actually saw people doing that a lot. But right now, it feels like that habit has died. It's gradually dying or fading away. It's something that we should also start talking about again. Some persons are not even used to washing their hands. Even when they're at home, they don't even wash their hands normally after going to the toilet, using the toilet and coming out. So it's something that we should overemphasize because washing of hands is, I mean, is the first point of contact. You do practically do everything with your hand. You eat with your hand, you wash with your hand, you cook with your hand, you do everything. So it's necessary and imperative that we should actually continue to fight for this.
We should also talk about access to clean water for the people, because as much as you want to preach hygiene, the primary place of getting pure hygiene, it comes from clean water, and that has a lot to do with clean water to cook, clean water to drink, and then the community being clean, and then the drainages has to be taken care of. And if, as an household owner, you don't expect the government to do everything and anything for you.
Right.
There are things that are solely your responsibility. As much as the government has tried to tar the road in front of your house, probably create a drainage system that takes water away from your house, that also means that you cannot afford to burn your refuse in those drainages. It blocks them, because many a times people burn their refuse and leave it there, and then for time they wait for it's time to that it rains, and then the rain helps them flush it.
Yeah.
Don't forget that when the rain helps you flush, it takes you to somewhere.
It takes you somewhere.
Meaning
right.
that when that place blocks, it means that when water is coming, it might probably get stuck and then it enters your house. That's another hazard of environmental, you know, carelessness that we commit in
yeah, you know, from what you said, it's necessary that we have this PPP, that's public-private partnership. So we should not always just wait and say it's the government's work and just relax and expect the government to do everything. We also have a part to play as individuals, as citizens of the country. If you actually know what is right, it's necessary that you stick to what is right, you do what is right. And even when guidelines have been given out, it's necessary that we stick to these guidelines. Some of the time we flout these orders and all the rest, and it turns out causing issues for us, and we turn around to place it on the government.
All right,
you know that the government has a lot to do.
This actually brings us to the end of this particular segment of the show this morning. We step away a little bit to the news desk as Uzoms Okechukwu is waiting. I mean,
as Sarah Nwane
is waiting. All right, you can join this conversation by dropping your comments on social media. You can also do that by linking up with us on YouTube. Subscribe to our YouTube channel at Dominion Broadcast. Link up with us on all other social media platforms. Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok, it is at Dominion Broadcast. And on X, it is at Dominion Cast. We'll go for Daybreak News right now. We'll be back after this time out.
This is Daybreak News on Dominion Television. My name is Sarah Wane. The Vice President, Kashim Shettima, has urged stakeholders across Nigeria's public and private sectors to enhance collaboration in order to effectively advance the nation's skills development goals. This was disclosed in a statement released by the Senior Special Assistant to the President on Media and Communication Office of the Vice President, Stanley Nkwocha. The Vice President emphasized that Nigeria's demographic advantage could be fully realized by equipping its workforce and youth with essential skills in key economic sectors. The Oyo State government has inaugurated a 20-man state task group on sanitation to eliminate open defecation and ensure equitable water sanitation and hygiene. The state deputy governor, Bayo Lawa, represented by the State Commissioner for Information and Orientation, Dotun Oyelade, inaugurated the group at the House of Chiefs, Secretariat Ibadan, the state capital. Lawal said that the group would address sanitation gap in the state and end open defecation in the state by 2028. The deputy governor also advised the group to step up the efficacy of awareness at public facilities on the need to own basic sanitation facilities. Meanwhile, the National Agency for Science and Engineering Infrastructure has decried the low patronage of Nigeria-made products by Nigerians, identifying some challenges leading to the low patronage of the local product as affordability and public perception, among others. Speaking during a stakeholder meeting organized by the agency in Akure, Ondo State capital, the Deputy Director of Engineering, Naseni Joseph Alasoluyi, said that Nigerians prefer buying foreign goods compared to local goods, adding that the agency had trained over 50 participants in the production of handmade products in a bid to ensure Nigeria-made products are patronized. He explained that Naseni was set up to promote science, technology, and engineering as a foundation for Nigeria's development and currently operates 12 institutes nationwide to achieve its objectives. President of the Nigeria Labour Congress, Joe Ajaero, has described the Minister of Power, Adebayo Adelabu's claim that 150 million Nigerians now enjoy adequate electricity supply of 5,500 megawatts as a joke. The union leader, in a statement released, noted that the assertion is not only pretentious but also a bad joke on people daily confronted by grinding darkness, outrageous electricity tariffs, and a power sector manipulated for private profit at the expense of national progress. According to Ajaero, the minister's claim was nothing but an attempt to insult the intelligence of Nigerians, given the power challenge the nation faces. The National Association of Nigerian Students has called on the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency to extend the proposed mandatory drug test for core members and prospective couples to political offices holders and politicians seeking elective offices. The chairman of NDLEA, retired Brigadier General Buba Marwa, has advocated drug integrity tests for core members, prospective couples, and others aimed at discouraging substance abuse. Marwa made this known during a meeting with the Director General of the National Youth Service Corps member, Brigadier General Olakunle Nafiu, who made a courtesy visit to the NDLEA headquarters in Abuja. Proposing integrity tests was not only meant as punitive but preventive measures aimed at discouraging substance abuse. In business, the World Bank Group has said that it had added Aliko Dangote, President CEO Dangote Group, and others as new members of the Private Sector Investment Lab, focused on job creation. The World Bank Group had launched the next phase of its Private Sector Investment Lab, aimed to scale proven development solutions with a strong focus on job creation in developing economies. New members joining the lab include Bill Anderson, Chief Executive Officer of Bayer AG, Sunil Bharti Mehta, Chairperson of Bharti Enterprise, and Mark Oplamazian, President and Chief Executive Officer of Hyatt Hotel Corporation. The expansion aligns with the bank's focus on leveraging private sector expertise to drive employment and sustainable growth. And now talking sports, Super Eagles midfielder Papa Daniel is reportedly drawing strong interest from South African club Stellenbosch, who was said to be offering the Niger Tornado star a monthly salary of $10 million United States dollars. Daniel has been a standout performer for Majid Mohamed's side in the Nigerian Premier Football League this season, impressing fans and scouts alike with his consistent form. His performance for the Econ Alam boys had earned him a call-up for the national team. So far this season, Daniel has recorded 3 goals and 3 assists in 21 league appearances for the Mina-based club. You can visit us on our website on www.dominion.org.ng to listen to us live and interact with us. You can also follow us across our social media platforms on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, and LinkedIn at Dominion Broadcast, and on X at DominionCast. This ends Daybreak News. My name is Sarah Uwane. Do have a nice day.
All right, welcome back from that short break. That was Daybreak. Of the newspaper. Don't forget, you can join the conversation live on our YouTube channel at Dominion Broadcast. You can also do that on our website at dominion.org.ng. Link up with us on all other social media platforms by following, subscribing, and liking those pages at Dominion Broadcast, and on X at Dominion Cast. We start this morning with Daybreak, with our This Day newspaper. All right, the major story on This Day newspaper says Saraki, no cause for alarm in PDP, Ganduje, 2027 election, a done deal. And that's coming from This Day newspaper this morning.
And we have emergency rule. Tinubu defied sacredness, sanctity of the Constitution, Amici insists. And the writers there says National Assembly week, government's government's 3 arms now reduced to just the executive. Queries Coastal Road project, declares it lacks due process.
All right. Of 73 properties linked to cybercrime syndicate. You'll find that story on page 34 of This Day newspaper this morning.
And moving on, still on this day, we have IMF urges Nigeria others to enhance physical buffers.
All right, we head away from this day newspaper this morning, and we'll take this story from The Nation newspaper. Court OK's arrest warrant for 6 CBEC scam suspects. You'll find that story on the top left corner of The Nation newspaper. I think we've talked about this, talking about, you know, who are the champions of this particular project,
right.
CBEX, and then who are the people who marketed it. They have to be brought to book. And having gotten people who marketed it, who are the champions of the project, then we can get to who actually initiated that project.
And who gave them the go-ahead?
Who gave them the go-ahead? These are questions they will ask. If they had, there were questions as regards if they had school, if they had registration with the government, with the CAC. Yes, they could register, but then is the registration meant for that part of that kind of business? And
also the marketing aspect, you can actually fault these people that marketed it. They might not have known that these people are scammers. So it's actually also left to the government to actually do their due diligence.
I disagree on that. I think it is easy to spot a Ponzi scheme. The moment anyone tells you with little or no risk, you bring your money, you double it in maybe 2-3 weeks, you should know that there is no business. Even the banking sector do not offer you that kind of...
It's easier to spot it. Why didn't the government spot it?
Well, I think as people, if the government is not doing enough, as a people, you also have to watch out for yourselves. So it means that while you are, as much as you are looking for money, you also have to be sure that your savings are safe. You have a lot to spend money on than just throw it down the drain.
So you should not just be on the marketers alone. Arresting some of these marketers, it should not just fall on them, because we have the Nigerians.
This is a chain. It's a chain. Yes. It's a chain. Once the marketers are arrested, the people who actually advertised it are arrested, then you can get closer to people who initiated the project.
To go into this. Even sometimes we hear on public spaces, on radios, when they say this announcement is not up, they usually put up this, what do they call it now? There's this underlying phrase there that usually tell you that we're not liable for anything that happens.
The idea is not to punish whoever advertised. The idea is to get who brought the advertisement. That's the question.
So it's a chain. Not going to be punished?
It's a chain. It's a chain. So
it is a chain.
That's a way you get across to people.
And Nigerians should also be wiser. That's just the truth.
All right, Edu projects more cash crude from NNPCL. You'll find that story on the upper third of The Nation newspaper this morning, and that's on page 28 of The Nation newspaper.
And the major story there in The Nation newspaper have Damagun Delta defections, shocking, painful to PDP. And the riders there we have more governors to join APC, says Ganduje. Party chair receives NNPP senator. Others.
All right, I will go to page 27 of The Nation newspaper this morning. I remain Labour Party chairman. Abure insists. Don't forget Abure and Papa. And then there are three people fighting for that position right now. But Abure is saying, look, I am still in charge. So whatever it is you want to do, you go through me. And then there's a rider, 80% of FIRS jobs to be performed by employees, says Adedeji. Zaccheaus Adedeji is the chairman of FIRS in Nigeria. That is on page 7 of The Nation newspaper this morning.
And we have NEC defers discussion on state police.
Okay. Well, I think it's a necessity to have state police in Nigeria. State policing is, for me, I think it's a right way to go. Because you'll be recruiting people who live within that state. They know the nooks and crannies of that state. They know where to go when anything happens. But then it's just alarming. When you go to places like the United States, you have things like the LAPD, the NYPD, the Long Beach PD, so LBPD. So it means that they are domiciled in that area.
Yeah, the state
they probably grew up in that area, and they know what the nooks and crannies of those places look like. They do. So when there is a crime committed somewhere, they know how to approach it. Yeah. But then you transfer a police officer from Kano to your state. He doesn't even know the names of these areas.
Right. He doesn't even know the nooks and crannies. It's really necessary that we move on with the state police, actually. And we have, more like the last story there in The Nation, we have 170 nations delegations for Pope Francis's funeral. Right, we'll take another story this morning, and there is a rider on
these stories, which I'll take now. 80% of FRS jobs to be performed by employees, says Adedeji. Also there, Sanwo-Olu at Harvard. Lagos is investors' delight. You see the governor of Lagos State going around the world marketing Lagos State, which has actually helped Lagos State. You know, Lagos State is more like a country on its own when you talk about how different it is to other states within Nigeria. And even at that, with all the monies being raked in Lagos State, it's still busy marketing the state around the world.
I mean, investment, we can never have enough investment in the country.
Well, and we have some states in Nigeria too who would say they are salary paying states. They are more or less like the civil servant state. How do you have an expanse of land and you cannot attract investors to invest?
Well, I guess that's left to the leaders of those states and also the people living in the states. Actually, if you actually advocate for some of these things, I know I've heard some persons say that some states, the people that refuse to even sell lands to some of these investors, they keep saying it's their ancestral home. They can't just release it like that. So it also boils down to orientation. I mean, some persons are not.
Looks like in some areas, some people they are hostile to innovations. They are hostile to
outsiders, to strangers.
Development.
Yeah, they look at them as strangers. That's just the thing.
Okay, and on the lower third of the Nation newspaper this morning, Nile Fund disburses 53 billion naira as student loan, and then on page 3, that's on page 3, and then you'll find on page 6, lecturer fired for sexual harassment. You find that on page 6. I think this has been happening over and over again. There was an accusation on the Vice Chancellor of Federal University of Oyo Ekiti, who was alleged to have been suspended. Then some said he went on leave and the likes. This should stop in our higher institutions. All right, away from there, we go to Daily Independent this morning.
And Daily Independent, we have the major story that we have: despite rising insecurity, NEC again shuns discussion on state police. And the writers there says, OK's new textile board targets $90 billion by 2035 with livestock plan.
Okay, talking about the textile industry in Nigeria, how big is that industry? Because it's an area I think even the government should look into.
Actually
even
invest,
private investors should look into, because on a daily basis Nigerians would need things like that.
People are building.
It is becoming for me it's a daily need, because Nigerians need it.
Yeah, sort of. It is.
It's an industry that needs heavy investment. All right, away from there, we take reps walk out in disappointment as IBAS shuns summons. That's on page 7. I think that has a lot to do with who he reports to. We mentioned it on this show, that is he reporting to the National Assembly or reporting to the presidency? There has to be a clear-cut instruction on what he does at when. So if he's saying, look, I do not owe you any visit, I do not owe you, an attendance in your chamber, meaning that I only speak with the president. He appointed me and I report to him directly. Though it's an oversight function of the National Assembly to see to it, if there is a state emergency anywhere, the National Assembly automatically takes charge of affairs in that state. But it looks like Rivers is an exclusive case, if this is to go by.
It is indeed an exclusive case, because what we're seeing right now, from like in the news and what's coming up from the states, it's really an exclusive case. We're just looking out for more breaking stories and hope that somehow this can be resolved amicably. Moving on, we have PDP describes Obowori defection as sad, unfortunate. Wow. And the writer there says, in veiled reference to Tinubu, says he can't outplay God. Okay.
That's on page 6.
Yeah, okay. On page 6.
I mean,
you can get a detailed information on that.
I mean, there has to be a beyond the surface meaning to that particular remark,
Definitely
which is the rider on that particular story, meaning he can't outplay God. That's a serious one right there. That's what takes us to the next story. 2027. Governors joining APC won't distract us. Atiku-led coalition. That's on page 7 of the Daily Independent this morning.
Okay, why are we saying Atiku-led coalition and not PDP?
Well, I feel like the PDP right now, if anything going around in the country is to go by, I feel like PDP, they are licking their wounds as we speak, because how do you lose a whole structure of a state. You lost the ex-governor, you lost the sitting governor, deputy governor, National Assembly, the structure of the PDP in that state. That means that as we speak, if there's any remnant of PDP in that state, it will be people who are actually probably not that influential.
Foot soldiers.
There'll be foot soldiers.
2027. We're waiting.
It's a big game.
Right. Moving on, we have NIMET workers suspend strike after federal government's intervention. That can be found on page 29.
All right, so we'll go straight to page 6 of the Daily Independent, and we have this rather sad story. Armed herdsmen abduct 19 passengers in Benue. That's on page 6 of the Daily Independent. It's another security issue in Benue State. Sad one.
We can never overemphasize the need for security to be increased in the country. And we have, moving on, still on Daily Independence, we have APC expecting more governors soon. 2027 is a done deal. Ganduje.
Okay, all right. Uncertainty in oil prices will impact Nigeria. That's coming from IMF, the International Monetary Fund, right there. I think we spoke about it yesterday that it's about time that countries begin to look inward and decide on what policy works for them. You know, there has been times when, you know, world bodies will advise a country, devalue your currency, do this, do that, you know, spread the tax net. You know, it has affected some countries that they are beginning to look for remedies and they are not finding anyone in sight.
Yeah.
Meaning that the more they advise you, the lower your chances of getting it right, because most of these policies will rather work for the world governing body rather than the country which, you know, these advices have been given to. So I feel like it's about time that even if a policy is introduced to you, you examine it and then make it work for your own people, and not you know, just doing more or less like a copy of that policy and then implementing it straight away.
Right, because what works for A might not work for B.
Yeah. Away from there, this morning, we take this particular one. Farmers lose over 20 billion naira to tomato pest outbreak in 2 months. Skyrocketing prices leave Nigerians struggling.
We can't even talk about that right now, because when you get to the market and you want to buy tomatoes, you are confused. That's the truth. You feel confused, like, what am I supposed to do with this particular quantity at this rate? Like, the price and the quantity, you're wondering how much quantity you can actually get.
Buy.
And then the pricing, like, it's outrageous. It's really a lot. And seeing this right now, I mean, I can understand why there is a spike, a hike.
Away from there,
tomatoes.
You go to the Punch newspaper this morning and we'll take this story. NEC postponed state police talks despite surge in killings. NGF raises panel to tackle killings, proposes massive security personnel recruitment. That story is on the Punch newspaper this morning, and you find it on page 2 of the Punch newspaper.
And we have on the top right corner of the Punch, we have Atiku Saraki spearhead PDP resurgence amid key defections. Okay.
Well, away from there, I think that combination, we'll see what they are capable of doing by the time the election is around the corner. Well, they are, you know, strong politicians. Saraki from Kwara State, ex-governor, former Senate president. That's a whole lot of power to wield there. And then you talk about former vice president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, Atiku Abubakar, also a very strong man, has contested to be president a couple of times. That's a very big man there, who also has, you know, the technical know-how to bring parties together. Let's see what happens by 2027. Yeah,
let's see.
Away from there, Zoms.
Moving on, we have EFCC gets order to arrest 6 CBEX promoters. Okay.
That's on page 14.
We talked about
that earlier. And then 13 governors fund rural electrification in 925 villages. That's on page 33 of the Punch newspaper this morning. I think that's an idea that every governor should imbibe. It's a good thing that we are now taking what people tend to look for in urban areas down to the rural areas. Which will slow down rural-urban migration in most cases. If there's electricity, good roads, water, I don't see a reason why you have to move from where you are down to somewhere different?
Well, some persons will say it's for greener pasture, because I remember when I was little growing up, when I get to the village, there is always constant power supply, because they say people are not usually around to use it, to consume it. So you actually have constant power supply there. So I was already used to that. But when you get to the urban area. Well, moving on, we have Obi versus Abure. INEC studies Supreme Court judgment. That is on page 21 of the Punch newspaper.
Well, I guess that's a never-ending story right now. Talking about cybercrime, on page 14 of the Punch newspaper this morning, Chinese suspects forfeit 73 houses, 1,596 laptops. You'll find that story on the Punch newspaper. And then you have the picture of Olukoyede, the chairman of EFCC in Nigeria, right there. You can pick a copy of the Punch newspaper and read further.
Cybercrime.
Cybercrime.
Yeah. Emergency. IBAS meets reps panel today as protests continue.
Okay. Away from there, we'll take another story this morning, and that takes us to the next paper, which is the Blueprint newspaper. Desperate politicians behind current killings across Nigeria. That's credited to the Youth Council. You'll find that story on page 9 of the Blueprint newspaper. I think that's a bold claim there.
Yeah, it is really a bold one, and well, it's a good, I don't even know what to say, but these killings and everything, sometimes it just throws me off. And when you see them on the newspapers, front pages of the newspapers, when you hear about them, even though you actually do not have anyone there, but I mean, thinking about what these people are going through, the fear already, they're living in fear, in constant fear, because they don't know when the other shoe is going to drop. Sometimes they can't even go out freely, they can't socialize.
They're always
on the lookout.
Shoulders.
It's really, it's well.
All right.
2027, done deal. More governors joining APC, Ganduje declares.
All right, in 2 years, Benue lost 1,600 lives to others' attack. In 2 years, that's credited to Akula, and that story is on page 10 of the new Blueprint newspaper.
1 billion US fraud. Court gives EFCC nod to arrest, detain CBEC staff. Okay.
All right, we'll take this one. 2027 done deal. More governors joining APC. Ganduje declares. And the writers on this story says Senator Kawu, other NMPC chieftains defect to ruling party. And then we are unperturbed, says Atiku-led coalition. And then you have, like Obi, PDP doesn't need structures to win. That story, that headline is credited to Damagun this morning. And you find that on the Blueprint newspaper.
Okay, we have Dangote Food boosts displaced persons lifeline in Sokoto. That's a good one.
All right, 2025 Hajj, CBN OK's cash BTA for pilgrims. You find that story credited to NACON as they secure 2,800 VIP bed spaces. That story is on the Blueprint newspaper this morning. And
we have NEC OK's cotton textile board, $90 billion agribusiness, livestock development.
And then you have Bauchi Varsity dismisses lecturer over sexual harassment. It's on page 13 of the Blueprint newspaper.
Okay, I guess we are done with the Blueprint this morning.
Away from there, we take the Nigerian Tribune.
Yeah.
Alleged $1 billion fraud. Court permits EFCC to arrest, detain 6 over CBEX. That story is on page 2 of the Nigerian Tribune. That's on all major newspapers this morning.
Right. We've had that same story. And still, this same story I'm about to read, which is on the major story on the Nigerian Tribune. We have 2027 won't be decided by number of governors, PDP. And the writers there, Damagun shrugs off Delta mass defection, says Obi garnered millions of votes without a state government. Okay, governor. No cause for alarm. We will reposition party, Saraki. Presidency mocks Atiku, says political future now bleak. Ikimi berates APC slide to personal interests. Forum won't surrender to plot of one-party coalition.
Okay, there's this particular one, Damagun strokes of Delta mass defection, says Obi garnered millions of votes without a state governor. That was in the last election.
Yeah.
But a lot is happening now. And there is a new coalition, the SDP, the PDP, the Labour Party. They are still coming back to the same set of people. NMPP too. And then you have the ruling party, the APC. But then you cannot underestimate the power of a governor having this whole structure of a political party in Nigeria. It used to be governors having to you know, liaise with the party chairman. The party chairman holds, you know, the whole structure in a state. That was what we used to know. But then, at the time, it became that at the moment you become governor, you no longer have to, you know, go to the leaders. The leaders come to you.
Of course,
so the position of a party leader now is now a subordinate to the governor of the state. He is the sole controller of the party in the state because he funds the party.
Of course, I mean, having a party leader in a state where the entire structure has been collapsed, who is the party leader leading right now? Even the party leader collapses to join the governor in another political party. That's the idea. Well, moving on. Politics. We can actually never have enough of it. All right, away from there this morning. We have Rivers. Again, Ibas absent at Reps panel. Military killed 1,770 terrorists, arrested 3,073 in 3 years across Northwest states. That's coming from the Chief of Defense Staff. You'll find that story on page 2 of the Nigerian Tribune. And gunmen abduct 14 passengers in Benue. Read that story earlier. Yeah. All right, away from there, despite worsening insecurity, NEC again defers talks on state policing. And then the Riders Council approves $90 billion agric business livestock development. Rivers Sole Administrator attend council meeting. You'll find that on page 5 of the Nigerian Tribune. And we have Lagos is investors' delight. Sanwo-Olu. Yeah, that was his, you know, his remark while he was at Harvard. I think he's been doing serious marketing for Lagos States there. If we're from there, we'll go to the Guardian newspaper. We go to the Guardian newspaper this morning, and we take the major headline: how market realities expose weak business models, growth illusion. You will find that story on the Guardian newspaper, startup development and funding cycle this morning. All right, that's on the major story on the Guardian newspaper. And we have Northeast Stabilization Plan may go up over 128 trillion naira as agency begins review. All right, setback looms in 11 states as U.S. holds $73 million yearly anti-malaria aid. That story is on page 6. I think we're still talking about that. That already, already are we? Nigeria as a country. This gap, this vacuum needs to be filled. It actually needs to be filled, so, and we cannot be waiting. I could remember there are projects like, which I wouldn't want to mention, which has a lot to do with malaria, distribution of mosquito nets, and then, you know, vaccines and the likes. These are things that, you know, is Nigeria ready to pay for them in full, because if there is no aid coming from the World Health Organization and the United States decided to pull away from funding the World Health Organization, will Nigeria be able to face it head on? Yeah, you know, talking about this nets you just mentioned right now, mosquito nets, I remember there was a time it was really rampant. It was something that especially in rural areas. Yes, we're actually looking forward to, but right now I don't even think it actually still exists. It does. It does. It's not as strong as before. It's because it is done mostly in rural areas now. Oh, so rural areas. Okay. Those are places who actually need them more. And then, now that this is ending, will the government be able to face it and do it? I don't think we cannot produce mosquito nets in Nigeria, because it's one thing we should be able to do. If we can provide, only we're intentional. You know, if we provide materials that people wear, it means we can also provide mosquito nets for the people. Course. So, meaning that the government should just look into this. Probably, we were talking about the textile industry the other time. Why not engage them to do this? That will come, the cost of production even will be reduced because it is being made in Nigeria. And then the rural materials are being made in Nigeria. Why can't we do it? We keep asking these questions. It's necessary that we keep asking these questions, we keep talking, and, you know, so that our governments can be hearing and do the necessary or do the needful. We have 54.3% of Lagos students failed WAEC in 2024, says government. Okay.
Okay.
That's above average.
That's a serious one there. Away from there, we take another story. More PDP governors will defect. Ganduje vows as Damagun Saraki. Others downplays crisis. That story is on page 6 of the Guardian newspaper this morning.
And on page 3, we have World Bank. Nigeria needs better fiscal contracts with citizens to reduce poverty.
Away from there, again, NEC defers a deliberation on state police. It's on all major newspapers this morning. Insists on modern ranching. That story is on page 3 of the Guardian newspaper this morning. And
like the story we just read about, the Lagos State being investors' delight is still on this newspaper.
It's still on the Guardian newspaper.
And you can find it on page 3 of the Guardian
All right,
newspaper.
that takes us back to the Blueprint newspaper, where we take the sporting story on that paper this morning. Morocco 2025, Flamingos ready to secure World Cup tickets. You'll find that story on the Blueprint newspaper this morning. You can get a copy of the Blueprint and then you get to read that story in full. And that brings us to the end of the newspaper review segment this morning, where we bring you the major stories on the pages of the newspaper. Don't forget, you can link up with us and watch us live on our YouTube channel at Dominion Broadcast. Don't forget to subscribe to that channel. You can also watch us live on our website at dominion.org.ng, at dominion.org.ng. And then you can follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok. It is at Dominion Broadcast, and on X at Dominion Cast. We now head straight to a short break, and when we return, the show continues. It is still Daybreak Live on Dominion Television. Don't forget, we still have a lot in stock for you today. Trend Watch with Osaru Noma Saba and Murray Oluga Akintoba. And then we go straight to sport with Boluwaji Ogumola. We'll be back after this time out. welcome back from that short break. The show is still Daybreak Live on Dominion Television, your channel of choice, where inspiration meets entertainment. Don't forget you can drop your comments and be a part of the conversation by dropping your comments on our YouTube channel at Dominion Broadcast. Don't forget to subscribe to that channel. You can also link up with us on all of the social media platforms, Facebook, Instagram, and of course TikTok. It is at Dominion Broadcast, and on X at Dominion Cast. We are now at the segment where we bring you unbiased analysis and undiluted reportage this morning, as we have with us in the studio Afolabi, with whom we are going to be doing justice to the major stories on the pages of the newspaper. Afolabi is a public affairs analyst and is here with us in the studio this morning. Good morning to you.
Good morning, my brother.
Good to have you in the studio.
Yeah, good. Good morning, my sister. Good morning. How are you doing?
Very fine.
I'm doing fine.
We've been talking about something really serious that has affected the lives of people in Nigeria and of course in Oyo State, and that's open defecation. We know that it's been a topic that of discourse for some time, but if you continue to discuss this, maybe the government will find a way around it to curb open defecation in the state and nip it in the bud, especially for a state like Oyo State. Aside from open defecation, environmental abuse is a major thing that we get to witness and see on a daily basis. When you are going towards some areas in Ibadan, you will see the medians where people already packed their refuse and then they are loaded there. And then we talk about sometimes people put their waste on right there. Having defecated in your house, you have decided to bring it to the main road.
Imagine. Well, this is a case that has come on ground for so long, and I know of recent the governor constituted a 20-man committee to look into it. And I asked myself, will this 20-man committee be able to, take charge of the entire 33 local governments? Oyo State is a big state, and when you talk about Oyo State, people always talk about Ibadan. And I ask people, is Ibadan the only place in Oyo State? We have the people in the interior, the other local government, the less, Ibarapa, the saying, the Goho people, the people at Okeho, the Ogbomoso end, and the likes. They are your people. And then we keep on talking about Oyo State and Ibadan, as if Ibadan is the only state, the only place where Oyo State take charge of. Is very funny too. I got to Ibadan 2001, and I started seeing something strange from what I've known to be seen as a Lagos boy. Well, I asked myself, why people enjoy. The first thing is, some people have a house, they don't have toilets. So they started from not having toilet, and people defecate yes, in Ibadan, then anywhere, and then their gutter is not well channeled. So many houses till date don't have channel waterways in their houses. They just throw the water and it goes out like that to the road.
On the main road.
On the main road.
So,
these are part of, this is where we should start from. And then talking about environmental sanitation, it looked like the Oyo State in general, I feel very reluctant about doing it, because I felt that it is something that we should see as part of our health.
Are you limiting it to this administration, or it has been the Oyo State?
I said I got to Ibadan 2001. I haven't been to Ibadan 2001. I have seen this repeatedly showing up, and past government have not taken a drastic action towards it. There was a time we started sanitation here, and they shifted it to Thursday for the market women unit. And I asked myself, is it only for market women that should be taken care of? Some people, even in the market, they started sanctioning them, and they pause. When politics is about approaching, they will pause. And then they put up a kind of politics to woo the people in the market.
Play politics with waste management.
Yes, they play politics with waste management. And I asked, the houses around, let me take you to the areas like Bere, Itameri, Oje, and Ogberetoya, and so many other places. You ask yourself, are you in the city? If truly this is Ibadan, the city of Oyo State. So these are the problems and I felt that paying politics, even with recruitment of people that will sanction, that will be in charge, is another thing again, because there was a particular government was about leaving, and he just put in an employment recruitment offer to this public and recruited people and then get them in without doing anything. So the new governor came in, send them out.
Discarded the employment.
And that is just it.
When you started, you talked about 20-man committee and saying if it's going to be enough. What do you think can be done? If that's not enough, what exactly can we have?
First, the government should use medium like this to come out and sensitize the public. We should first address our mindset. The mindset we have here is that this is our place. This is the way we do it. And it shouldn't be. Other states, like Lagos State, are taking drastic actions towards environmental sanitation, which they believe is part of human health. You know, the hailing of so many things. There are places you even see, they put it in Yoruba language, Dalesibi ko shofo. You know, Tosibi ko padanu. And in those areas that you see these people writing it, are the places they go in and do it. I have caught a man.
Despite the inscriptions on the wall, they still do it there.
They do it there. A man, I caught a man and he was telling me, òun fẹ́ padanu na nǹkan òun mọ bó ṣe rí. You don't understand? So the people understand that it's just a mere threat. It does not hold water. So until we put up a kind of orientation from the religious organization down to the family, you know, then to the public, like using the medium like this, a radio station here that is fantastic, a TV station that is wonderful, and people will hear outside and take action. Then your 20-man committee can now have some subcommittees.
So the major problem we're having right now in the state is the mindset, basically the fact that we do not have toilets.
No, the mindset. If you have the right mindset, you will not put up a house without toilets.
Now, you talked about putting up a house without a restroom, a toilet. You mentioned places like Bere in Ibadan. When you enter these places, you understand the fact that there is no place to put a restroom. Everywhere is blocked.
They make it so. It is not possible to be. I still tell it. It is not possible to build a house without a restroom. Even aside Bere, the areas like Apata, go down to Owode Omi, go down to some areas in Eleyele. You ask yourself, where is the toilet? It's not, if not for the modernization some people are now saying that makes them to start converting their house to a room self-contained, a 2-bedroom stuff. Formerly, we used to have the toilet outside, the bedroom outside, you know, or somewhere far behind the house. So it is the mindset. That's the people, and then those who are proving or who are health officers going inside and not just seeing their brother as the owner of the house and say, but that I mean, by the time we come back next week, and we want to see that this thing has been put to place, let's go back.
Bere, Oje, areas in Ibadan that are blocked. What will happen to these places?
Our government, we have advised so many times that they should come up with refuse bin at a strategic location and make it a regular basis to take them away. Yes, we should have our security officers who are like the use of the Amotekun, you know, that go around now.
Why do Nigerians like free things? In developed countries, you pay to dispose your waste.
Because that has been.
Why do we have to do it for free in Nigeria? Why can't we pay? If you can afford food, you should be able to dispose your waste.
That is how we have been built. That is the mindset built in us. You ask yourself, why will Nigeria pay to vote somebody? That is the way we have been built. The last time we talked about customizing poverty in the minds of Nigerians. This is the way.
So you're talking about some time ago, we had toilets far away outside the homes.
Yeah.
What happened to these restrooms, these toilets right now? How come people are leaving them and defecating in open spaces?
I still maintain that it is the mindset. I tell you, it is the mindset of the people and the nonchalant attitude of the government to take charge at as when due. They felt that they have some people in the local ends and that we are taking. No. See, everything is being politicized here in our own country, especially here in our own state. And that is why some people felt very reluctant to take action. Let a road officer arrest a vehicle person now, you know, offenders. And before you know it, that person will be calling his uncle, calling his brother, and before you know it, the man will be out to go.
You are saying people in power and they are aiding and abetting crimes in Nigeria.
That is just it. See, if we want things done, before you approve of a house to be built, you must see the plan. The plan will show where the toilet will be located. The plan must tell you that this house has a water channel from your house down to a particular stream, which has been, dedicated for such, you know. And the house will be such that you too can talk about, okay, for all these I've seen on this plan, it is approved. But I find it very difficult to see some houses, even though they are not approved, built without toilet. There are still very one built without toilet. Go to Omi, Apapa end. go to some area, the Alexandra. I've been to some area in the LA end, and you'll be amazed of what you are seeing.
Okay, I'll love to ask you this question. We have, according to findings from the 2021 WashNum report, approximately 48 million Nigerians still engage in open defecation, and only 8% of the population practice clean hand washing. Now, we know that during the COVID-19 era, we sort of imbibe this hand washing
because we don't want to die.
Exactly. Now, at that time, we know that there were spaces, public spaces where you get to, you have to wash your hand before you get in. What happened to that culture? It seems like we've thrown it away.
Yes, we've thrown it away.
Why? Is it still the mindset?
It's still the mindset. We know immediately we detect that COVID-19 looked like a scam to us, and nobody really died like they have quoted it, or they have forecast it. Let me use that word, that Africa is expected to have not less than 23 trillion deaths in this COVID-19. And in Nigeria, you know, remember that time, even in Oyo State, we have a lesser coffee where we started our children going to school in the morning and the afternoon. We ask ourselves, if COVID-19 is on ground and we are going to the market, sneezing is regular in the marketplace. And what happened to the learning of all this? But we find out that it ended up to be a scam. But let me tell you, this still the mindset. The mindset of our people is so poor that, okay, look, for example, when you go to a party, this party is organized without making provision for a restroom, which is very wrong. In a place like Lagos, they don't do it. And that was why you remember a man that started it, Gaddafi. You know, Gaddafi toilets. This man positioned a restroom very close to parties so that any guests who have come for such party may be pressed and go in. But here, they don't do it. And you see people maybe haven't taken 2 bottles or taking a kind of concussion rice and it's like run out of the party and then go out there and defecate.
If you're saying it's the mindset, we're able to actually get a good health practice during the COVID-19, and people actually followed. Most persons followed actually. So what is stopping us from actually? I said it to you now.
Is it because that was life-threatening?
We don't want to die. Then we were threatening that we would die if we don't wash our hands, we don't cover our nose. We would die if we go out every time.
Nigerians are afraid of just death.
So how about diarrhea that is killing children and all the rest? If that campaign is actually, if this campaign gets as serious as the COVID-19, don't you think it will be better?
But do you understand that our government also relaxed when they saw that COVID-19 is gone and is not really affecting us as expected?
That is what I'm trying to find out. If the campaign gets serious as it was,
if the campaign gets serious, when we were growing up.
Now, Afolabi, let's talk about ways the government can put an end to open defecation in the state.
Start from the schools. When we were growing up, we understand we have a plastic where we wash our hands.
Most schools don't even have restrooms.
That is just it. I was about saying that. A primary school, a secondary school, in our own primary school, we need to have restroom, and classes are rostered out such that a class know that for this Monday you are in charge of cleaning of the toilet. For this Tuesday, you are in charge of sweeping the classroom and the compound. You know, we resume at the new section and we cut our grasses. It's not child labor. We cut our grasses. We watch our classroom.
Every morning you have to pick every
when we are going
on
holiday, we clean our big board, turn the chairs around, turn it upside down, and clean the class. You know, the mentality of modernization of child labor and stuff and have taken away all this. Many schools don't have toilets. Many that has, you cannot accommodate nothing less than 50 people and you only have 1 toilet. It's not possible. Any person that accommodates 50 people must have at least 2 toilets. Either 2 for male, 2 for female. Not just 1. Because they will not be queuing after each other. Let's take, for example, 10 people is pressed at the same time. Do you expect me to wait for that person inside to finish before I go in? I may look for other alternatives. And the alternative is the nearby bush or anywhere around. That is just it. The last time an event, a popular event happened in Oyo town, people were pressed. The entire place where they look out for alternatives. I can count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 10 people who have to go into bushes and defecate. And this is because there was no
even at a major event,
no provision for it.
A state-sponsored event.
I'm telling you, no provision. There was no provision for it. I was expecting that we'll see a provision like, you know, the Gaddafi mobile toilets that will come around, that will come around and then position themselves. Even if it is a token, these people will pay. They will pay. These people who have gone to these bushes will pay, because after the event, that is when the people around there will start counting their gain or loss. So these are the things that we should put in our mentality and position for a better society, a better community, and for our own health. Now, our health facility is not even in good shape that anybody can fall sick, and you'll be assured that as the person goes in, he's coming out, or he or she is coming out fine. You may go into that
primary healthcare centers in the states have restrooms. I'm asking.
Have you been to one? Well,
I'm asking. Are they functional?
If they have, just one. There is one primary health center in Akpata. I was opportunity to take one of our neighbor there, and they only have one restroom, and the place is not even functioning. You have to go and fetch water to use the place, and the place you go to fetch the water is just like.
By the time you come back,
you are done.
Aside having the toilets, are they actually clean enough for use?
That is another question. Now, why you don't have water, you don't have toilet?
So who are the persons charged? You know, you talked about schools not having restrooms. Who are the persons charged with this responsibility of checkmating these things before schools start up?
We have health officers who must know that if you are to accommodate anything more than 50 students in your school, there must be 4 toilets, and they can come in on notice, you know, without telling the authorities, because the authorities know that those who are coming are also hungry. Immediately if they comes in, they start to look for ways to settle them. But if they comes in very serious, taking in mind that they are building a nation that must not collapse.
Afolabi, we'll go on a short break now. And when we come back, Daybreak Live continues on Dominion Television. Don't forget, you can link up with us on our social media platforms, YouTube at Dominion Broadcast. And of course, you can do that on our website at dominion.org.ng, at dominion.org.ng. You can also follow us on all other social media platforms by liking and then sharing our posts on all those platforms, Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok at Dominion Broadcast. And on X, it is at Dominion Cast. We'll be back after this time out. The show is still Daybreak Live on Dominion Television, your channel of choice. You have had with us in the studio this morning, Afolabi, a public affairs analyst who has been doing justice to the topic we've been discussing this morning, and that has a lot to do with open defecation in Nigeria, and in particular, Oyo State. We've been talking about open defecation, and then it came to my mind when we went for that short commercial break. Why can't the government invest into waste to wealth in the state? We have spoken about what effect this has on the economy.
Yes.
This can even be used to generate electricity.
Sure.
What is the government doing to make sure that we don't just waste our waste, we turn our waste to wealth?
That is part of what we have been asking government to do. You know, but because they get free money from Abuja, and they get it so much that they lose focus on so many things.
Are you saying some states are not innovative?
My brother, if they are, people will not look up to Abuja for money every time. I tell you.
States like Lagos are doing fine.
They are doing fine.
River State.
They are doing fine because they know how best to use their money.
The FCT.
They are doing fine because they know how to best to use their resources. When you enter Lagos, you see all these mobile toilets positioned around. And there are people who are also
readily available for rent.
Readily available for rent. Some people are readily, they have invested into it. There is no way you have a crusade and people will not be pressed. Even the preacher will be pressed. He will need to go down and quickly take care of himself and come back. But what happened where there is no mobile toilet around? Do you think this man will hold his hand? Will hold it to the end of the program? It's not possible. When you have a stadium, you have an event, you have a program, and you don't make preparation for this, you expect the otherwise. So that is it. Government should, if they cannot do it, they should approve some private investors to come into it. Our market should have either mobile toilet or a station one that can even generate money for the government. I was at when you get to CMS, that Obalende, that bridge. Under the bridge, the government has positioned not less than 20 toilets there. They take if you want to take shower, they pay for toilets. Even if you have to just get there and urinate, you are paying. And that money, they give you tickets. They don't just pay. They issue ticket like they issue ticket to these Okada riders. So you can also generate from there. And when you talk about internal generation revenue, these are ways you can generate it. Now, when you talk about houses without gutter, waterways, then you charge them too. Because it will be very stupid of you to build your own 3-bedroom flat and run the water just outside the road. That's another erosion on the road. It destroys the roads. So a lot of areas we can earn money. But you see, when we get too much of free money from Abuja, we look away from it. Until many of them leave their office, they will not start thinking, they become orators, they become, what we call it, they now become advisors to what they have not been.
When will Nigerian governors get it right?
When Nigerians are ready to get it right. When Nigerians understand who is coming in on board to lead us. When we look beyond today and see tomorrow. When we don't collect money for votes. When we see our life depending on the person that's going to rule us. When we understand that the person that will lead us will determine our health facilities, determine our education, determine our market, determine the way we spend our money, determine how we even wear our clothes. When we see all these, then we will understand that whoever that is going to lead us may come from any tribe or region, or not even religion. Because some people will just sympathize, it's not my religion, you attend my church, and somebody will say, is an Islamic brother. And the person will go there and you will not see either the Islamic trait or the Christianity trait in him or her. And that is when we will get it right. Because let me tell you, we are moving into another dispensation where people will start counting their money. They want to start spending to the voters. They understand what we need. They know that we are so gullible that when we see 20,000, they can increase the money. They've done that in some states, in Ondo State. We saw it on clips when that woman that has already collected money is telling the government to do the needful. Haven't been paid. You have been paid for your 4 years. You don't have any right to query whatever the governor do, either good or bad. So until we get all these things right, we may not get to the nearest place. We know our moving to our Jerusalem is very slim.
So is there hope actually for Nigerians to actually be wiser this time around?
But there is still hope. We are preparing for 2027. There is still hope. There is still hope if we call ourselves to order from the family end, and you can be able to tell your wife, please don't go out there and collect money. If not, if you see our children taken to the hospital and they get there without drugs, and our school is being shut down anywhere, anyhow, then it's part of the money you have collected. There is still hope if our spiritual leaders do the needful. They don't become politicians while becoming a priest. There are hope.
All right, let me ask you this question very quickly before we leave this particular topic. We have spoken about open defecation and then the effect it has on the people and how the government can nip it in the bud to make sure that in few years we can actually get out of this mess. Now, you talked about politics, about how Nigerians will be able to get out of this. Yes. But basically, in some places, votes are bought for 20,000, 10,000, 30,000. Let's do an average of 20,000. If a vote is bought for 20,000 naira,
yes,
if a governor is looking for 1 million votes, it means that he's going to be preparing 20 billion naira to win that election.
You are right.
Is it that easy to get 20 billion naira in Nigeria just to buy votes? And where will you get that money back?
That is not the only person that is going to pay the money. He has accomplice. He has supporter, and that is why when the governor
they invest in him.
They invest in him
to go there and steal money.
Yes, because when immediately he won the election, you'll be looking out for a man who has campaigned tirelessly for this man, who has been up and down, who has gone up and down to make sure that this man won this election. And he just bring a brother from abroad and make that man the SSG, and bring another person. They are all political appointees. They are all political offices as drafted by the constitution. So he has the sole right to determine who becomes the...
Who works with him.
He works with him. So he can just bring somebody to become commissioner for works. He can just bring somebody to be commissioner for information. He can just look inward or look outside the country to look for who become the commissioner for NDG and many other ones. Like we have seen it here working.
Lastly, you heard this statement after every election. We worked for him. What did they do?
That is the question.
We worked for you. What did they do?
What did you do? You have been paid for the work you did. You did not invest in this person. You did not volunteer your car. You did not fuel the cars that take you out. You always also, at every movement, you collect money. This man is recording it down. He wants to end it. He
wants to recoup the loss.
He wants to recoup the loss. Who will put in 20 billion?
And how about...
Just for voting period alone. Not the campaign, no. You will put in 20 billion just for voting period alone. And we will sit there for 4 years.
He's still going to settle the leaders.
My brother.
He wants to win the party ticket.
How about those that have been abused, that have refused to sell their votes?
My brother, until everybody does that, we may not get... You see, if we are three here, and this man is so keen to his ideology that he will not change his direction, but vote the right man. And the two of us said that we are going to vote the person that will pay us. The man that will win the election is coming from the two of us. And before you know it, this man will remain the same person the next 4 years. So that is just it, until we all see it that way. Can you see the game plan working on ground again now in Nigeria? Everybody is moving towards a one-party system. You think it's free?
So you think we are gradually drifting to a one-party system?
Yes, we are. It is not. We've seen this game plan play here before.
That's why we will talk politics this morning. On this day newspaper, Saraki says, no cause for alarm in PDP. Ganduje is talking. 2027 election is a done deal. These are two separate blocks.
Yes.
Saraki is from the PDP.
Yes.
They are losing men. They are losing governors in their states. And Ganduje, who is gaining governors, saying no cause for alarm. Look, we are winning this election no matter what you do.
It is a game plan played before by Bola Ahmed Tinubu in the Southwest. When they were in ACN. You know, he was the only person left in AD. And he held his tenets at AD, while others joined PDP. And by the time he saw the opportunity to come in, when Jonathan was vying for second time, he entered into this man. I won't use the former EFCC chairman for his Nuhu Ribadu before an article, for his presidential campaign or presidential bid. He understands. He knows the politics. By the time he bought into ACN, you can see what happened, the tsunami that happened in the Southwest. Almost everybody bought into it. From Lagos down to Osun, down to Kwara, even in Ogun, everywhere. He understood this politics. But the fact that he will not play that in the Pedra is not no. He understood. And people always play to his table. They will play the card to his table and he will just use it. Saraki that is talking. How many hands has Saraki invested? Has he empowered? Where is Saraki in Osun? A senator just decamped to APC. 3-1-3. Are you telling me that the remaining 2 are safe? Tomorrow you may see that second senator telling you that because Adeleke family want to dominate the state and this and that. Even in Oyo State, the last election was the first election in Oyo State that we see a group, what we call a dual citizen of a party member. Our governor become a party member in APC and a PDP, and a party member with the dual citizen in APC.
How did you know that?
That it was cleared now.
You have evidence.
The evidence was that this man never supported his presidential candidate. If he has done that, you see, you cannot be in a party just like a family member. And my father and my brother is contesting. I want to say it's my brother. I will not still work with him. It's not possible now. You are saying that you are not, you are for a party, but you are working for a particular presidential ambition, a presidential candidate. And that was why we saw all the central district, central senators losing out for the APC. It is glaring, my brother. This man is not just, tell me one person in this political elite that has stayed with the ideology of politics, where you become a member of a particular party for 20 years. Tell me, our governor was formerly in ANPP before he go to SDP. Now back, you are seeing the light, and that is just it. Even Saraki that is talking, he was formerly in PDP back to APC, and it was because that place was not favorable to him. That was why he went back to. They don't have ideology. They are only
he lost his seat as
they are only working for interest. It is interest, and it is their own interest, not the interest of the masses.
You know, Damagum has said he shrugs off Delta mass defection, says Obi garnered millions of votes without a state governor. So what do you think about this? He says Obi garnered lots of votes.
Yes.
So he's looking out that the PDP has nothing to fear, whether or not people are defecting.
He said they can win without governors.
They can win without governors.
Say Obi gathered millions of votes in the last election without having a single governor.
Yes, they can win without governors. They are in power. You know, like somebody said, our INEC chairman to decamp to APC. They can win without governors. It's a matter of number. Politics, election is a game of number. Tinubu lost to Lagos State. He lost Lagos State to a Labour Party. And in one other, even he lost in Abuja, and it was still the election still favored him. Are you going to be there when they will be counting it?
Let me ask you this question: is Tinubu the master strategist?
That is a question that has been answered before you answer the question. You ask the question. He's a master strategist, and because he has invested in the people that are there right now, he has started his game as earlier as 1990. You know, he won the senatorial seats in 1992. So it's not new.
So it means that these other parties are just playing a lost card.
My sister, before we can talk about a new Nigeria, like somebody has campaigned before now, is when all these our political elites are no more on the field of play. That is, to me, that is my opinion.
And how do you achieve that?
Until we pray.
They don't want to leave the scene. They are replacing themselves with their sons.
Those sons.
Obasa is planning that his son will contest for chairmanship in his local government.
Yes, Obasa. See, those sons.
In Agege. He's still the sitting speaker in Lagos State.
Oshoba did the same thing for his own son in the House of Rep in Ogun State. Even Obanikoro did the same thing for his own son too. But those sons don't have the tenets or this kind of zeal their fathers are. So by the time the father left the stage, we saw it. Even Adedibu did.
They also faded out.
Adedibu did for his own son too.
Adedibu.
Yes, Adedibu. After the guy lost, he finished his tenure.
He was a senator.
He went back after he finished his tenure for 4 years. He went back. He can't hold the ground. He does not know the politics. All these sons they are bringing in are either from abroad. They don't understand it. So we will just allow nature to take its course. Unless we see nature. You know what I mean by nature?
Isn't that going to take like forever?
No, it may not. Nature is very, very proactive. And
very quickly, let's talk about CBEX. We are still have a story on CBEX on the pages of the newspaper this morning.
Yeah.
And the court has okayed the arrest warrant for 6 CBEX scam suspects. Most notably, people who actually projected the platform, saying, look, you people should come. Now, EFCC has said, we are going for these people, and the court has given them the warrant. Yes, it's a pity that the people who have been affected got affected because of the present situation of the country. Everybody is looking for an escape route. I wouldn't want to blame them. They are looking for an escape route. If not that CBEX crashed and many other ones crashed, some people may not have told you what they did to earn what they earn, to earn the kind of living standard they are. There was a video of a man who went to Mecca. He was praying over CBEX. God, don't let this thing come down now. And that tells you that that man does not get to that place with his own little handwork. He has added something to it. 8.5 million naira is what you will need to get to Mecca. There is no more than that for the next time. Are you saying that Nigerians cannot actually grow up? Because we've had series of these cases. I mean, there was a time when another major Ponzi scheme. Another one will come. Nigeria will still invest. So what is our government doing about this? Our government is not helping us. See, me and you understand that there was this governor who contested. Before he contested, we have lived in the same area together. The ordinary borehole, he couldn't provide for his people. He was just campaigning under a no-recognized party. People understand the way, and he will come to political, community meetings and talk that this and government is not. Immediately he got the ticket to vie under a popular party, and he won. He was nowhere to be found. He didn't come back again to that community. I was a member of the community. I attended the meeting. By the time we send letter to him, there is no response.
You go to his house, security
It's
are
not
there.
bigger than the people.
It's not bigger than the people.
Unfortunately, we have to go this morning. Afolabi, thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me. Always.
It has been a wonderful session with you and an
really
interesting conversation so
has
far.
been.
We do hope to see you next time.
I have told you this is my home. I want to be here with you.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you for having me.
All right, the show is still Daybreak Live on Dominion Television. We'll now head straight for a short break. And when we return, we'll go to the next segment on the show. Don't forget to Dominion broadcast. Then don't forget to subscribe to that channel. You can also link up with us on all other social media platforms, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok. It is at Dominion Broadcast. And on X, it is at Dominion Cast. We'll be back after this time out. All right, welcome back from that short break. That was the analysis. Don't forget, this is the session where we bring you unbiased analysis and undiluted reportage. We now head straight to Morayo Olua Akintoba and Osarinoma Saba this morning for Trend Watch. Morayo, good morning to you.
Good morning, Samson. How are you doing this morning?
Yeah, I'm fine.
You look good this morning.
Yeah,
I like the look.
Thank you. You look good too.
Thank you so much.
I'm sure you have a lot to give us in the world of
we sure do.
entertainment
You
this
know
morning.
we got you on anything trending on social media.
All right, thank you. Do your thing.
Thank you so much. Good morning and welcome to Trend Watch. My name is Morayo Olua Akintoba and I'm obviously not doing this alone. It's Friday, double for your wahala for the week. I'm here with the beautiful
The Edo Queen. Okay, I supposed to say my name.
No.
Apologies. My name is Osarena Masaba. Most people know me as the Edo Queen. And of course, Fridays are extra special. It's not just one, we're two. And of course,
Yes, we
we're
are.
bringing it hot with all that is happening on social media. Basically, what is trending on the streets of social media. So, I mean, the very first thing, we're going to be talking about is, it was actually number one on the trend table.
Yes, it was
all through yesterday.
Yes.
Is the PCOS, saga, right? So there was this post, asking on what condition would someone not marry, their partner. And then Enoge, responded to this and said, if she has PCOS. And that really got people talking because
Yes, it did.
it is, PCOS we know is, polycystic.
Ovarian syndrome.
Thank you very much for that, right? It's not particularly something anyone would pick or say, oh,
It's
this
not
is what I
even-
want.
It's not even self-induced.
It's not self-induced. So, people got talking because why are you, segregating because she has this condition? If tables were turned, how would you feel? But I want to ask you more. Do you think, because now from this post, we can see that, he's saying that if she has PCOS,
He's not going to
he
marry
will
her.
not marry her, right? So despite their relationship or how far they have come so far, he will not
Sad.
marry her. So do you think, his response here has any base or any
No,
basis at all?
It doesn't. Because it's not as though she brought it upon herself. It's not self-induced. She didn't go somewhere and collect PCOS. It happened to her. And you can't fault her for something that's not her fault.
Now, interestingly, there was a comment that I saw, which is probably the next comments. The lady was like, should we now be bringing all our medical reports to our first date so that you'll know that
they said that we should bring templates for
precisely
first questions.
So, Baby Chisom says, since PCOS is you people's problem, I think we should start going to first dates with our medical reports so we don't waste each other's time. Your blood counts, liver function test, kidney test. So, just carry a
because
brief,
of first dates.
right? So, just carry
Wow.
either maybe PDF documents or a handy file and say, oh, these are meant
Edo Queen, is it that serious? Okay.
Sugar something.
Okay.
Right? Because it seems most people felt like it felt insensitive.
It's very insensitive because, like I said, it's not self-induced. She didn't appear in front of someone and say, oh, I want PCOS. Lord, give me PCOS. Do you understand?
Yes.
It happened to her and she's probably trying to deal with it. It's not her fault. If you can't be understanding, I don't even think you should be in a relationship, to be honest. Because there are things that will happen later down the line that, it would inform your decision. And if you then decide you don't want to be with this person because of something that's not their fault,
Yes.
I think you have a problem.
Now, interestingly, people, if we remember just before Ife Dayo Agoro, that's Dayo Obe.
Yes,
that
yes.
Before she got married, eventually, she said that it's important to marry someone kind.
Yes.
Or date someone kind.
Yes.
So that if, along the line, you develop any, it's for sickness and health, right?
Yeah,
Good
it's
and
bad,
times.
yes.
If it might not be before you get married that, you see or discover the condition.
That's what I'm saying, that it might be in the marriage, yes.
Right? And now we see Solobuchi's comment here, and he's saying, what if she develops PCOS after marriage? Would you abandon your wife? And then, the same person who responded said, yes, that would be the end of their marriage contract.
Wow.
Women leave.
This person is heartless. And doesn't even deserve any woman. I'm so sorry.
Ew.
Why would you end a marriage because, she developed something in the marriage? You took the vows in sickness and in health till death do you part.
Not till PCOS.
Do you part? So I don't get it. And he's saying here that women leave or even cheat on men who suddenly develop erectile dysfunction. And I completely disagree with this. Because you see movies where the woman, she's wondering what is going on.
Yeah.
And more often than not, the man doesn't speak. Right? So you can't just assume that women will leave or cheat on a man because he has erectile dysfunction. So I think that this is a warped view of things, if you ask me.
Although some people still think that his concerns are valid.
They're not.
Because, it's his own decision. And if his person wants to marry, then he
And
can
that's what
dictate
we
who
are
and how.
saying now.
So in
If
the
this
first
is
place.
decision, he shouldn't marry.
Well, I think essentially, I would just draw still from, Ife's, comment
Yes, marry
on
someone that's
be with a
kind.
kind person.
Yes.
Be with a kind person.
They will understand what you are going through. You will
Yes.
not have to be explaining that, oh, I didn't bring this upon myself.
Precisely.
Because this one, if I catch you outside,
she will beat you.
anyways, moving on to the next story. True love. As Tubaba and his soon-to-be wife, or should we say wife already?
Shebi is today that the
They
marriage
are doing a traditional marriage. They are set to wed today traditionally, says Stella Dimoko Cruz. And this is appalling. I'm sorry. It's as though there is no level of shame again.
No.
They are not selling shame in the market again.
It's now
Because
scarce.
if you ask me, I would say at least have some shame, like hide it. Because now it appears as though he was cheating on Anne. Well, we've heard several stories.
I mean,
we've heard several stories. But it would appear as though he was cheating on Annie while
Yeah.
they were married.
Yes.
And in less than how many days that, she reported that, they are no longer together. He has introduced Auntie Natasha as his fiance.
Yes.
Now, we're saying that they are set to get traditionally married. My question for you, Osare, is, first of all, are they not supposed to be legally divorced first before you even think of, getting married to somebody else?
So I mean, to be very honest, just like you said, shame is now scarce.
It's very scarce.
Before we used to put in our back pocket, but it's like, well, I'm not even carrying it around
You
again.
say let's leave it at home.
Because I mean genuinely, the separation is still very recent.
Exactly.
And
it was last month.
So it now already seemed like, oh, he was already
Planning it all along.
in a relationship before, and the fact that he now came out openly to announce without even
Sad.
coding, I feel like maybe, I mean, if he wants to do what he wants to do with his life, that's fine. We cannot hold him down.
Definitely.
But I mean, be coded with whatever you're doing. Yes, people will still get talking. People will still find out and make allegations or
Definitely.
suspicions.
But you hide it.
Coming out to say all of it is even more controversial now.
Yes.
Knowing his track history of being a father to many nations.
This is a lot of nations, my people.
So I mean, I think essentially, let's just carry shame in one hand, and also just bear the other person in mind, because now
Yes.
it's not just Annie Dibia, but it's also his
all
children.
his children, not
All
even the
his-
children he had with her.
all the many
his
children.
Yes. So let's take a look at this comment. Blessing Hairline official said, if you like carry marriage for head, they shout, my children, my children. They go leave you marry another person, and those children will be fine. Don't forget to build yourself in the process of building others. And it's so important. Yes, marriage is a good thing. Marriage is a beautiful thing. But don't leave yourself out.
Yeah.
Build yourself as you are building your marriage, as you are building your children. Build yourself as well. And I think that is so important. Let's take a look at the
agree.
next comment.
Ayola says, what's the rush? He's over 50.
Exactly.
Divorced, single, and rich. Why not just become partners?
Okay.
Bring more peace. Marriage is so overrated at certain ages. So I mean, this is coming from the angle that there's no need for him to rush. Really, he's already over 50. Instead of saying, okay, let's get married, they should just like remain partners.
Makes no sense to me, but if you say so.
People do it these days. Was it not Cristiano Ronaldo that he asked
He said
children
until
they feel the click. So all the years I've not felt the click. So maybe that's what.
This is what the song. That's what the song
It's
was
saying
like.
they
They
should
should wait
do.
for the click.
But I mean, in social media, many things are happening.
Definitely.
And, yes, it's Friday. We don't want to leave you without any spice
Exactly.
and jazz. So, I mean, word on the streets is Wizkid and Ayra Starr have the best collaboration of the year so far with a new song that
Have you
dropped
heard this
today.
song?
Give me that. I feel like it's Obiri. Let me not sing because it has a Yoruba. Let me not sing
Okay.
it. But I mean, people are loving it so
Yes,
far.
they are. It's a
And,
beautiful song from what I hear.
Yes, so I mean, this is definitely something you can jam through the weekend, just so you get to relax and rest from all the hustle and the bustle of the week.
Yes.
All right, so we're gonna call it, the end of Trend Watch for
Yes.
today. We're gonna be back on
Monday. Yes, we
So
are.
Thank you for joining us on Trend Watch.
Back to Ebby and Samson and
Samson and Uzums.
in the studio. Hi, Samson.
Hey, Morayo, how are you?
I'm doing good. How are you?
You've done quite a lot today talking
Yes,
about
we have.
entertainment gist. That's massive. I would say that's massive. The slang. Thank you for being a part of the show.
Thank you so
today.
much for having me.
Right. All right, the show is still Daybreak Live on Dominion Television. Don't forget, you can watch us live on our website at dominion.org.ng, at dominion.org.ng. And of course, you can also link up with us on all social media platforms, on our YouTube channel, Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok at Dominion Broadcast. You can also be a part of the conversation by dropping your comments on our X handle at Dominion Castozum. It has been a wonderful show so far.
Yeah, it is. And we're going to be heading straight to sports as Toluwani is waiting on the other end. Stay tuned.
Yeah, well, before that, I think we should talk about Two-Face Idibia getting married to the house of another Natasha. Let me put it that way.
Okay.
So if you do another Natasha, and then you talk about the situation surrounding that with his ex-wife Annie Idibia, Annie Macaulay Idibia, who is also, after deleting all the posts on her social media has decided to also move on and then do her thing. She's been seen, attending events lately after some time out. And
I think also from some of the comments that Omarayo and Nasare read out, you can see that they're saying, what's the rush? He's over 50. I mean, he already has children, and I don't actually see if there's this need why he's rushing to actually get married. I mean, some persons will say he's rushing in and he's obviously going to rush out again. If he could not stick with Annie, well, I wish them all the best anyway.
I think when love is involved, you can decide to do something different. Maybe Two-Face has a reason for doing that. Sometimes what you are not a part of, what you really don't know, the details might be a little bit difficult to. Because since they've been talking about the back and forth between Annie Macaulay Idibia and then Two-Face Idibia, no one has actually talked about the intricacies, the details of what actually transpired between them. It has been a thing, sealed in between those two.
Yeah,
and then Two-Face is like, okay, if you think I am the bad person, you should ask her, tell her to talk. And then Annie is also saying, if you think I am the bad one, ask him to talk. So it has been concealed between these two people. And then we do hope that someday people get to know exactly what happened between them. But then you would want to feel a little bit sorry for Annie having been there for a long time, and then all of a sudden, the case can also be likened to that of May Edochie and Yul Edochie.
Yeah. Well, it's a whole lot when it gets to marriage. You can actually say this is it, this is that. I know that they usually say, when people say that marriage is like giving you a gift. Whatever you get when you open it, you take it like that. If we can actually learn to understand that the vows we take, which is for better, for worse, should actually stay with us till death do us part, then we're going to have a lot of this divorce saga reducing.
Well, what if it gets so worse that you can no longer be a part of, the union?
Well, I'm not actually saying that if it's toxic to the point that it is between life and death, you should stay. But well, some of these divorce stuffs we have been looking at is not actually about life and death, so we don't really know the details, like you said, of all this.
All right, Uzoms, that takes us to the sport desk this morning at Toluwani Polabe is waiting. Good morning to you, Tolu.
Good morning, Samson. Good morning.
Doing?
Good morning. I'm good. I'm doing good.
I guess there's a lot to talk about in the world of sports. Liverpool coasting to win their 20th Premier League title. A perfect competition between Manchester United and Liverpool. Yeah. Oftentimes, Liverpool had the near miss. They had the near miss. They almost won it, and then Manchester United were so happy that they didn't. But now, I think it is closer than ever.
It's closer than ever, and I'm sure Manchester United fans will not be happy to see that Liverpool are coming. Come on, we might just see that happen on Sunday. Where they clinch that title and have the same Premier League title as Manchester United. All right, moving away from that, we'll be looking at the local scene. We'll get the stories from the Flamingos, where the Nigeria under-17 girls, the Flamingos, are firm ready to pick up their tickets for the country's 8th appearance right there at the FIFA Under-17 Women's World Cup. I remember they won the first leg, 4-0, where we saw them, get reward, for that victory right there from the Remo Stars, chairman, and also, the NFF president, doing, something great, for them in the account, and that has given them a morale boost, for them, to go ahead today and see how they can clinch another victory in the second leg right there in Algeria. That game is set to kick off by 8 p.m. So we're expecting so much, and we got the report that the weather, right there in Algeria is a little bit stormy, but that would not stop the Flamingos to see how they can clinch in, their second leg victory against Algeria right there by 8 p.m. Remember also, more incentive, coming through from the Remo Stars management and also the NFF if they are able to secure, a victory today to get their ticket for the World Cup. Moving away from the Flamingos, we're heading straight down into the match week 13 right there, where we are seeing the matches that were played by Bayelsa Queens against the Rivers Angels. The game ended 1-0. Also, Delta Queens against Nigeria Tels. The game ended 2-0 away from home to Nigeria Tels. Also, Ibom Angels against Robo Queens. The game ended 1-0 in favor of Ibom Angels. Also, Benue Queens against Adamawa Queens. The game ended right there 2-2. Moving away from that, let us head straight down to the table. While we're talking about the table, let's see the Remo Star ladies have booked a place in the Nigeria Women Football League in the Super 6 playoff. The Kenne Club have also been joined the season-ending competition by Nasarawa Amazons. Right here, we can see Edo Queens, Nasarawa Amazons, and also Remo ladies, booking their place in the last 6 playoff. Also, moving away from that, the second table where we have Bayelsa Queens, Rivers Angels, and the Nigeria Tels also, booking up their place right there. The Nigeria Tels and FC Robo Queens will fight for the final playoff spot on the final day of the season. So right now, we have the Remo Star ladies have booked their place in the Nigerian Women Football League Super 6 playoff. That's the report we are getting this morning. Still on the local scene, where we have the Challenge Trophy right there. The Nigerians under 18 handball team defeated Cote d'Ivoire right there 38-30 point in the final of the Chab Zone 3 Challenge Trophy held on the 24th of April 2025 in Abidjan, claiming the championship trophy. So it's big congratulations to our very own Nigerian under 18 handball team, where they have gone on to defeat the Cote d'Ivoire at 38-30 point. We're saying a big congratulations to them right there. Moving away from that, we're still on the local scene where we have big games coming up today in the Nigerian Football League match day 35. We have Kano Pillars are going to welcome Rivers United. Remember, Rivers United are trying to seek a place, to see how they can clinch, the MPFL title. Most likely a must-win game for them away from home. Also, we have Nasarawa United against Atlant. We have Plateau United against Bendel Insurance. We have Kwara United against Lobi Stars. We have Rangers against Eyimba. We have Sunshine Stars against Castina United. We have Abia Warriors against 3SC. Bayelsa United against El Kanemi, and also Aqua United against Ikorodu City. And we have Remo Stars who are looking like the title holders already right there in the MPFL against Niger Tornadoes. But the one key game we need to look forward to is how we see Shooting Stars if they can still pick up all 3 points away from home to see if they can clinch the continental ticket this season. Moving away from that, we're heading straight into the world of basketball. I remember we talk all sport right here, and let me let you know that OKC, right there defeated the Wolves side 114 to 108 right there. OKC Thunders, doing great things right there in the world of basketball. Also, we have the team called New York Knicks against District Pistons. The game ended 118 to 116. New York Knicks are leading the series 2-1 already. Remember, they're in the playoff season, and this is where the games are getting heated in the game 3 of the final. New York Knicks are taking all points, 118 to 116. And Anthony, getting 31 points, 8 rebounds, 2 blocks, and 4 3-pointers, right there. Moving away from that, also still in the world of basketball, the Clippers right there are able. They were defeated 117 to 83, right there in the game 3 of that competition. Is to 1 right there in the world of basketball, the playoffs. So we're giving you much updates, coming through from the world of basketball, as we get the report for you. Moving away from the world of basketball, we're heading straight down to the Coppa Italia. I remember AC Milan defeated Inter Milan on San Siro, their home turf. The first leg ended 1-1. and the second leg ended 3-0. Luka Jovic getting a brace right there for AC Milan. Also, Bologna also defeated Empoli, 2-1. And we have, the final is going to be between AC Milan and Bologna come on the 14th of May. Moving away from that quickly, we're going to head straight down to the Serie A fixtures where we see Atalanta today going to welcome, Lecce, and also big games coming up on Sunday, likewise on Monday. Also moving away from the Italian Serie A, we have the result from, La Liga, and our major focus is going to be between Real Madrid and FC Barcelona. Remember, we have the Copa del Rey final coming up on Sunday. Let me let you know that Real Valladolid are relegated already, this season from La Liga. Moving away from that quickly, we're going to see the standings where Barcelona and Real Madrid are trying to fight out for the trophy, La Liga trophy this season. Moving away from that swiftly, the Bundesliga fixtures are coming up thick and fast today. On Friday, Stuttgart are going to welcome Eidem right there, in the German Bundesliga. We have major games coming up right there. Bayern Munich also against Mainz, Bayern Leverkusen against Augsburg. Also quickly, moving away from that, we're heading straight down to the Premier League fixtures where Manchester City, defeated Aston Villa 2-1. Arsenal played a 2-2 draw right here on Wednesday to Crystal Palace. We have major games coming up. Remember, Chelsea are also trying to fight for a Champions League spot. They're going to welcome Everton, and also Bournemouth are also going to play Manchester United. And the big game is going to be Liverpool against Tottenham Hotspur. Remember, a draw or a win will give Liverpool the Premier League trophy, this season. And ending the story for the world of football is that Jamie Vardy has ended his 13 years stay with Leicester City. He said goodbye, to Leicester City, with the Premier League trophy in the year 2015-2016 season. Right there with the FA Cup trophy also and a Community Shield. Moving away from that quickly to end, Daybreak Sport is going to be the world of boxing, where Alexander Usyk and Dubois are going to do battle right there. The WBO, IBF, WBA, IBO Heavyweight Championship, is set for the month of May. Right there, we're going to see big battles, coming through for these two men. Remember, it's going to be a big fight between Alexander Usyk and also Dubois right there. That's going to be all on Daybreak Sport. I am Abe Paul Toluwanimi. Over to you, Samson and Uzams.
All right, thank you for being a part of the show so far today. And unfortunately, we have to go. Our time is fast spent on this show. And then I want to tell you this morning that don't just count the days, make them count. And then don't forget that you should use the weekend to refuel, refocus, and rise stronger for the week ahead. Samson Balogun is my name. Until next week, bye for now.
And I remain Uzom Sokechukwu. Remember, health is wealth. Stay blessed.